if you Google search food deserts, you'll find that Chicago is among the top of the search results. So one thing that we're going to be looking at tonight is food deserts in Chicago. While I was doing research, I came across this diagram. This is a bit of a throwback to the 3rd grade. And this is the desert food web. I don't know if all of you remember this, but we'll actually be talking about a different diagram tonight. This is the urban desert food web. It's actually much more complex than this diagram alludes, but we'll talk about some of the complexity tonight. So actually, one of the primary issues in food deserts is people that live in food deserts actually have to travel an unusually long distance to get to fresh, healthy food. So, you know, we're all in search of an oasis. This is the food desert oasis. This is the closest food in food deserts. Actually, in Chicago, in food deserts, fast food is twice as close as fresh, healthy food. So, you know, there are communities all around the U.S. that are struggling with these issues. And they're struggling with higher rates of obesity, higher rates of diabetes, higher rates of cancer and heart disease. In Chicago, primarily the food deserts are on the south side here. And they're impacting communities that are overwhelmingly African American and also people that usually don't have cars to get to grocery stores. So one thing that we can look at is not just an issue of food deserts in these communities. Most of these communities are also business deserts in general. So Michelle Obama last year announced a $400 million campaign for healthy eating, and the goal is to eliminate food deserts by 2017. But what we need are policies that are implemented intelligently. Take food stamps, for instance. The food stamp program now is being utilized at rates that it never has before due to the recession. But now there's a lot of talk about massive cuts to this program. But rather than cuts, I think that we need to use federal money, local money in ways that really are much broader in concept. We need to be addressing health issues. And ultimately, when we address health issues in urban communities, we'll lower the budgetary constraints. So this is an image to show that the USDA estimates now that we spend over $150 billion per year on issues around obesity and healthcare. So the prices of healthy foods are more expensive than ever, and we need a revolution to get away from that evolution. So what can we do? Farm-to-school programs, one great example. We need to be teaching kids in schools where does the food come from? What are healthy choices? How do we make behavior changes? This is a case in point. We need to make education changes. We need to make behavior changes. And that's why it was so nice to see Cookie Monster make some behavior changes himself recently. And there are wonderful organizations in Chicago already working in this area. The Greater Chicago Food Depository is one of them. They have a remarkable program, a mobile farmers market that's serving urban food deserts in Chicago. Another great program, Fresh Moves. They've only been around a month. They bought a bus from the CTA for $1. They retrofitted it into a mobile produce market, and now they're serving food deserts throughout Chicago. The mayor has focused on kind of working on getting some of the big players, big supermarket players, into the food deserts. He's been working with them. And then, you know, there are all sorts of smaller organizations that really can make a big difference in this space. And what we need is to bring together local communities, NGOs, small and large businesses. I think if we do that, we can revolutionize the way that local food is done in Chicago, the way urban food deserts are addressed, and we can be an example for the nation.